Chili Willy. Are we rolling?
Chili Willy, we're rolling now.
All right. Welcome to the Chop House, Beef Bootlegger Chop House. What brings you to Meat Stock?
Well, an invitation from the guys at Proven.
Yep.
We're an affiliate of those of Proven, and have the same kind of mission and goals in meat production, which has shifted over the years. I'm a 7th generation farmer, and my kids are the 8th generation. I have 6 of them, and so we are kind of going back to what the first probably 5 generations, how they raised cattle, hogs, chickens, and so we're seeing the need and the demand and really the need for good, healthy, nutrient-dense proteins.
Absolutely. So talk a little bit about the Proven protocol, I guess. For someone who's new and they hear Proven, what does that mean?
It's animals that essentially have been tested for nutrient density and compared to the alternatives that you can get in the stores that are from confinement operations. So that's where the Proven comes from, because it has been proven more nutrient dense.
Tested. Yep. What would be an example of maybe if we were just picking 3 criteria of nutrient density? The Proven protocol being the gold standard versus what might be in the supermarket. What would be 3 examples, or maybe the best examples?
So diversity of diet,
okay,
and really animals that eat what they would have, 100 years ago, and so greens, diverse pasture mixes for cattle, diversity of plants.
And with that, they're foraging, they're choosing what they want to eat, figuring out, what's out there and doing it on their own versus being force-fed something.
That's right. Yep. So with pigs, the same thing. We have a silvo pasture, which is woods and grass, and so the pigness of the pig can come out, as Joel Salatin would say, and so they get the diversity of nuts and berries and that kind of thing in their diet, which then influences their meat, the nutrients in their meat.
For sure.
So those are the big things: is the diversity of forage, and the nutrient density of that forage, which then gets translated into the meat.
And being translated into the benefit of the person consuming the product, would that be in the form of antioxidants or certain omega-3s and whatnot?
Yeah. The omega-6 to 3 ratio is kind of the big thing that we look at.
Tell me the golden ratio.
Well, 1-to-1, I would say, is kind of what we're going for.
That's right.
And CAFO pork that you buy in the store runs about 29-to-1.
Wow.
Omega-6 to 3.
So that's basically the opposite of the gold standard. Huh?
Yeah. And we tested ours, and it came back at 8-to-1.
Fantastic. And that's for a pork product.
That's for a pork product.
Right.
And then our beef came back at a little less than 2-to-1. We're kind of new to this game. We're trying to figure out, okay, what pasture mixes are going to move the needle, and maybe it's a harvest timing thing that's going to move that needle. So different times of year may influence that when you harvest that animal. But we don't have all the answers, but we do know so far what...
Collecting the data is the first step, right? So then you can figure out a baseline and what you're doing to maybe move the needle in the most desirable ways. It's a slow process, right? Because you're not going to be able to figure out if it's seasonal until maybe the next season, or a couple months at least, season to season.
That's right. Yeah. It's a long, drawn out process with the grass feds for sure.
What region of the country or what state are you in?
We're in Indiana.
Indiana?
Close to Purdue University.
Okay, very good.
Northwest Indiana.
And how much land you got over there?
We farm about 4,000 acres. So
wow.
we're still, we're still kind of conventional row crop farmers, corn, soybeans, wheat, doing things that we know better, but we have to maintain a level of productivity. We have to cash flow. We have to be profitable.
Hey, that's it.
And so it's small changes over time. And I would rather grow things that we can directly eat that are loaded with nutrient density. But we're growing corn for corn syrup that goes into Coca-Cola that we don't like, but it's just, it takes
Piece of
time.
the business as well, right? So you got to fund the things, and
That's
then
right.
at the end of the day, you have to keep going for a 9th generation.
That's right. Yeah, but hopefully more.
Yeah, 9th, 10th. What? So, are you doing full grass-fed, grass-finished animals, or are you?
We do both right now. We've built up a rather large client following of just our grain-fed cattle. That's kind of what started. We've been doing grain-fed cattle in a feedlot for a lot of years, and then it wasn't until 5 years ago my wife got on this whole nutrient, watching what she's putting in her body, and she's like, hey, we need to do grass-fed. And I said, well, if you can create the demand, we will shift our production practices. Yeah. But we're not going to shift our production practices first and then try and build the demand.
Figure it out, exactly.
So anyway, she's done a really good job trying to get a following for grass-fed. So we do have the grain-fed still, and then we've got strictly grass-fed.
Yeah. Some people are very passionate one way or the other. For me, I think it's both are far superior to what you get in the supermarket. I care that there's no vax and no hormones and these type of things. I particularly like the flavor of grain,
right?
And
absolutely,
marbling and all that type of stuff. So I'm not all the way, but there is a market, and some people are passionate about it. For us, we're distributors, so we find the highest quality. But I have grain finished, I got grass finished. It depends what people want.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that it's clean beef, and that we like the people that we're working with, and hopefully have some element of, kind of small and local vibe that we're able to help our local ranches as well, because you guys have a tough, way to run the business, but also every year we're losing thousands of local ranchers as well, right? So we don't want to, just get replaced by big ag and some of these foreign companies as well that aren't using the best practices.
Yeah. The age of the farmers increasing every year, and it's so hard for non-farm kids to get involved. It's there's a barrier of entry there, and if you didn't grow up with it and a generational thing, you had to have hit the lottery to be able to get into it, and so it's definitely a challenge to start.
Find any non-lineage new up-and-comers are coming in that appeal to the lifestyle. Again, it's such generational pass down year over year. It's not something you could just jump into, but I think there's a few industries right here that, as the current generation ages out, unless there's, sons and daughters are going to take over, it's going to kind of end right there. But maybe some newcomers, because it's kind of a lifestyle. Maybe get some new people coming in.
Yeah, and we're right next to Purdue University, so we get a lot of interns coming to our farm.
There you go.
We also run an embryo transfer business, and so we take embryos from seed stock producers of cattle all over the country. We put those embryos of those high quality genetics that they're wanting to propagate quickly into our cows. We calve them out, and then they get the calf back at 150 days. So that we're unique and diversified in a way that we draw a lot of people from Purdue, and there's a lot of those kids that want to come that say, I want to farm, but my family doesn't farm. I don't have the opportunity, and that's where the older generation really needs to lean in and to the younger people and give them an opportunity.
Give them the opportunity. Are you finally leaning? Are they ready to put in a 12-hour day? How are our young kids? Are they kind of like a couple hours and then back on the Instagram?
There is that. There is that. The work ethic, and it's. I would say the ag kids understand to a certain degree what the demands are of cattle getting out on not having weekends, to just do. You are at the mercy of the weather, and when the weather says go, you got to go.
Right.
And so, I wasn't even going to be here this weekend, but it rained at home on Monday or Sunday, 2 inches, and I'm like, I think I can sneak this trip in. So
There we go.
that's why I'm here.
Well, we're glad to have you here. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a wild question. So one of the guys that we were talking to, and I saw this, I don't know how new the technology is, but pretty recent. But the collar that the animal's wearing, so you can actually kind of move them around with a little bit of stimulus. Are you guys doing any of that?
And we are not right now. We've
I guess
applied
you call
for
it
a grant.
geofencing? What's the proper name for
Yeah,
that?
it's virtual fence.
There you go.
Virtual fence. We've put in for a grant
Yeah.
for that. Now we do have activity monitoring ear tags in our cattle. There's my daughter right there. That's who I want you. And
Don't go too far. You're next.
But that tracks the activity of our cattle, so we know if they're sick or they're in heat. You know, because this embryo transfer thing, we're really
Right, so you almost have to monitor that as part of the product, if you will, to let them know what's going on.
So the virtual fence is a great thing. I mean, you still want to have perimeter fence around.
Yeah, that's right.
'Cause we live right next to Interstate 65, which goes from, I don't know, Florida to Chicago. Highly traveled.
Yeah,
and I don't
so
want cattle getting out on
seems
65.
Like, or you might have a power outage or something,
Right.
God knows, right? But so you want to have your baseline perimeter of protection, and then inside of that you can use the geo to maybe manipulate their behavior a little bit, or have them forage in this particular section and kind of move them around tactically.
Yeah. Cuts out manpower, the labor part, having to actually go out and move temp wire.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. And it's just
Well, you said 4,000 acres, right? So you're going to be putting in your steps, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we don't have that much pasture. Most of it's row crop, and we're in a row crop. We're not in cow country. We're probably the largest cattle operation, maybe in the contiguous county. That's arguable.
Up there.
Yeah. So, the demand for ground selling for $20,000 an acre, it's hard to convert that to pasture. I mean, it's even hard to cash flow it row cropping it, let alone planting it to grass. And that's where we hope these meat sticks can really take off, and we can add value enough where we can actually plant those acres to forages and make that cash flow.
Right.
But we have to do things different.
Well, also one of the conversations that we've been having as well is driving that premium nature of the product with the nutrient density, so you can command a bit of a premium in the market.
Right.
You're never going to win racing to the bottom.
Yeah.
So you almost need to, race to the top or have a compelling reason. And when I was talking to Chad as well, part of that compelling reason, I think, is finding a handful of those nutrient-dense, kind of bioavailable pieces. Even if you got 100, you can't educate someone on 100, it's overload. But to champion 3, 4, 5 of those particular attributes, and then show what you're doing versus a chomp.
Yeah.
So maybe you're $4 a stick versus chomp at 2 in masses. I know chomp in the store is 3, and maybe you're pushing to 4 or 5. But when you think about what your body's going to get for it,
Right.
maybe it would take 3 or 4 chomps, right? So really, if you boiled it down into that nutrient density as the unit of value, they were actually twice as cheap. As a chomp.
Well, Christine had done a little chat GPT to say how much bioavailable nutrient is in, because we have the Utah State lab
you
results.
got the data, that's right.
Versus that amount of nutrient in a supplement, in a pill.
Yeah.
And it spit back, now take it for what it's worth, $11 worth of nutrition supplements in that beef stick.
I would believe that. And again, that's where I think your marketing needs to be, because that's a conversation that you can have that's real and you're tested, so you can stand behind it. It's not, maybe does it have it?
Right.
I would also argue that, life feeds on life. So even when you have those same compounds in supplements, it's not really, the God food chain starting from the dirt up to us. So even that you have it in a pill.
Right.
Because I believe, 50, 60, however many years ago, when they were studying what's in food to make a pill so you could just eat pills to replace food, everyone died because it wasn't working. So it's not just, the chemical or the compound or something like that. There is something to life in itself.
Absolutely.
And passing that all the way on up to us.
I agree.
Oh, man. Well, this was great. What was your name again? I never
Josh.
got your name. Josh. Beef stew right here. Pleasure talking to you, Josh.
Yeah. I knew there was a nickname.
There we go.
And I couldn't remember what it was.
That's it. Where do we find you, Josh? Where can people find you?
Wildcat Valley Farms on the internet .com. So
there we go.
And my daughter just took off there, so
it's all right. We'll get her back. We'll take a breather. Yeah. Josh, my man, great talking to you.
Yeah, it was great.
Right. Good luck with everything too.
Yeah, good time talking with you. Yeah.
Boom, boom, pow.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just chat.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm not super professional. It's really the first podcast we're doing.
Yeah. So are you raised cattle or
no?
What got you into this beef thing?
So 7 years ago, I sobered up. I used to be hardcore drunk, drinking bottles of vodka at 4 a.m. Did drugs, all of that. Worked till it didn't. Had a kid. Didn't want to be drunk around him. Didn't want to smoke cigarettes around him. So I channeled all of that into eating meat and working out. And I'm very small now. Comparatively, I was probably 45, 50 pounds heavier. I was like 225, fucking jacked, custom suits for necks. COVID happened, so I wasn't really dressing up. But all that happened in July 2020. I was in Texas, and I thought I should be shipping this great Texas beef around. I was eating 100 pounds of Texas steaks a month, being all jacked. And they couldn't. It was supposed to all happen after a lot of conversations and investing in packaging and doing the dry ice research and everything. They couldn't vacuum seal and they couldn't cut to a specific weight. So what do I sell a steak on the internet for if I don't have those things? Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I ate that 100 pounds of steak a month for many, many years, about 5 years. I had a payments background as day job, and I moved to Florida. I built a Bitcoin payroll app, took a couple grand of Texas beef, and kind of went there 90 days before my family, ate all that beef. Bitcoin shit the bed, so that dream didn't even get off the ground before my family joined me. But I visited an old boss in Cape Coral, Florida, which is a couple hours south, and I stopped at this little place. I bought some steak that ended up being the very best tasting steak I ever had. So I would drive 6 hours round trip, buying that 100 pounds of steak, and they wouldn't sell over the phone because of a $2,500 order. And I said, hey, this is my jam, see me every month. Introduce me to the manager. We got to pick up the pace and kind of optimize it.
Yeah.
So one thing led to another. They would vacuum seal. They weren't allowed to, but the kid was like, I don't know what it is about you. I'll do it. So I did that. Then I had friends over. They're like, this is great. So I was getting them vacuum sealed, but as a favor, and they couldn't cut it to weight.
Right.
But I started selling to the homies.
Yep.
And your name started with J. What was it?
Josh.
Josh. You're like, Josh, Fitz, I'm making a run on beef bootlegger. Do you want anything?
Okay.
So that's how it kind of got going. And then I ended up moving some weight through this kid. I said, hey, instead of 100 pounds a month, can we do 1,000 pounds a week? He says, I got you, Stu. This is my shop. Well, it wasn't his shop. I got him in big trouble.
Oh, boy.
So I felt bad. So I went down there to go talk to his boss. And I think there is certainly the mob in me because this guy looked like a New York mobster.
Really?
What the fuck's going on here, And I said, hey, let's go into business. I got a market for this. I'll pay you to cut them. And he didn't want none of it, but he gave me the distributor. And now I get it cut to the exact weight. I get it vacuum sealed where it's their job to do it right. So if they mess up, there's not enough margin, as you know.
Yeah.
If they fuck up a couple bone-in ribeyes, I'm out of business, right? So it's very stringent, very demanding, and now I'm, national. I worked out the shipping, so I'm still coming from nothing to where we are, but we had our best month, and I think we're almost close enough that you could not have a day job. It's been a hard road, and I do a lot with events in person, so the scaling is the business going national, again, working premium, doing a little bit local, but shipping Florida beef to California doesn't make sense. Been working with a guy like you, maybe as a partner or something like that, to supplement the business, and then hit regions.
So what draws people to your product?
Right now, it's the taste and the flavor, which you should certainly try it. We cooked a few steaks successfully. We may or may not have set off the fire alarm yesterday.
Oh, I wondered about that.
May or may not have been us. So we're gonna start and get rolling, but you should try it. So they're no vax, no hormone, but they're grain fed. They are national, so it's not fully independent, but it's a great quality. And then my clientele, I've found, less of the grass-fed, grass-finished, which is certainly the market here. These are affluent people, business people that can pay $60 for a steak they cook at home. You know, my low end is $30-40.
Okay.
Up to 120 for a 3-pound porterhouse, for example.
Yeah.
But we want to do it, and then I'm doing really well with gifting. So maybe someone in the trades gets a $50,000 referral, right? So he wants to give this box of beef.
Okay.
And it really is special, the taste and everything.
Yeah.
So that's where we're moving, instead of kind of eking our way into the individual's plate, which is certainly what's going on here.
Yeah.
Is more, I got a lot of money, I want to eat the best. Maybe it's special occasion because it's expensive.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a gift, and we're gifting that experience to share. And then ideally, maybe even having a party where we're cooking all that meat and we're slicing it, we're all sharing off the same cutting board, kind of eating with our hands with the bros.
Yeah.
Or maybe, someone, housewarming party, something
Right.
like that.
Well, you know, the grain-fed beef is what our tongues have been used to, you know, and it's hard to get over. I mean, I'm still of the opinion I would take a grain-fed beef steak over a grass-fed. That's my personal taste.
That's where
but
I'm at.
my wife, she's the opposite, and you know, I'm glad there's people that have different. You know, God made us all different, so that's good.
That's exactly right. And there's both, and that's the thing. A lot of people have a very strong opinion about it. Not everyone has a strong opinion, but do.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that there's a right answer. It's chocolate versus vanilla.
Yeah.
They're different, right? Now,
We're all selling
might
ice cream, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
And they might want to optimize for the omega-3, 6 ratio, because that's what's important, or they might have a life and death need to do that. Right? I don't, and I like the flavor, and I want it. Now I want to make sure there's no vaccines and hormones and bullshit in it, because I also have zero trust in the
Antibiotics.
American food supply that I have my best interest in mind. You
Yeah.
know? And also I like the lifestyle. I like working with real people, and there's something about the meat mindset, maybe, or whatever. Everyone's a pretty good person.
Yeah.
You know, we're coming from corporate and these other things.
Yeah.
I'm not finding those people that I would want to spend some time with, or, you know, partner in business.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, we're you know, farmers in general are typically kind of grounded people that, you know, it's a different food. Of course, we all revolve around food anyway. We all have that in common.
Yeah.
So, but the agricultural sector, you know, I will say the like regenerative side, whether it's regenerative row crop farming or even like grass-fed, the niche stuff is a very a group of people that's willing to share their experiences and ideas and what's worked and what hadn't, and very open.
Yeah.
And I'm in some peer groups, but it kind of revolves around that no-till cover crops, and very smart people.
Yeah.
And I'm not that smart, but I'm smart enough to know that I'm not smart, and I need to hang out with people who are. So,
well, I would actually challenge that a little bit. So we always like to round ourselves down a little bit. You might be smarter than you give yourself credit for. However, I've felt a lot of my life up into this point I've been too smart for my own good.
Okay.
Where actually being really smart isn't necessarily the key to success. Grit, not quitting, following through, taking action. There's a lot more than just maybe knowing what to do, but actually doing it.
Right.
So I know all of the good things I should have been doing for the first 49 years of my life. Maybe the last 2 I've been doing what I should have been doing. We're talking about that a little bit.
Well, congratulations, getting there.
But doing that, and then that's the thing, right? Getting out of bed when you don't want to, doing what you know you should when you don't want to. These are things that maybe aren't on the smart thing, you know?
Yep.
And I think, I don't know, if you look at enough people that get into business, I think they say the A students work for the D students, you know?
Yeah.
So there's something to that, I'm sure, in ranching as well.
Yeah. All right, Kylie, you ready?
All right, my man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Kylie, come on in.